Welcome to today's session, Branding Through the Lens. This class is all about maximizing video marketing. And if you've been to any of Ellie's previous classes, then you know you're in for quite a treat. Ellie is an agent with us that has cracked the code on video marketing, and she consistently goes above and beyond in sharing her strategies with us. Often this looks like in our other trainings, being in the field at a listing and co-creating videos together while we edit them. But we know how daunting social media can be, and often without the right foundation, it can feel a little disjointed. It can feel like, what am I even doing? Is it going to piece together in the way that I want it to? So that's what we're going to focus on today. We're going to talk about our overall strategy. We're going to talk about branding. So you don't just feel comfortable creating content, but you feel confident in the brand image you're creating, that you are not just posting about who you are, but where you want to take your business. And you're in for quite a treat. So Ellie, thank you so much for doing this today. I'm so excited.
Thank you for having me. If you hear crunching in the background, I had to give my puppy something to crunch on or else she will go wild. So she is at my feet being very good at the moment. Thank you to everyone for coming. I love doing these because I think that when we get on the topic of branding and videos and social media, individually, they're daunting in and of themselves. But when we put them together, I can only imagine how nerve-wracking that is to try to put together, oh, I have to figure out my brand, then I have to figure out how the heck to film a video, and then I have to figure out how to post it. That's a lot to organize and to chew on. So I hope today that if you take away anything, I hope you take away bite-sized pieces of this information, because this is not a one-size-fits-all process, and this is also not a I'm done in 24 hours, it's all completed kind of a process. This is something that is evolving constantly over time. When we're talking about your brand, we're talking about you as a person, and I do not expect you to be the same as you were 5 years from now, as you will be tomorrow, as you will be next year. And your brand, we're going to talk about this, should have the flexibility to evolve not only with you over time and what you're interested in and what you want to show to people, but it should also be flexible enough to change with the market and with where your business is going and with where your goals are going. So without further ado, let me once again figure out how to share my screen. Okay, can we all see the presentation? Cool. Okay, so let's jump right into it. Primarily, we are going to be talking about TikTok and Instagram, but this equally applies to Facebook, YouTube, Shorts, LinkedIn videos, any platform that you see yourself. If you have taken any of my previous trainings, you will have heard me say, use the platform that you use the most. So don't try to invent a brand new image on a platform you've never used before and expect it to jump off as easily as the one that you've been on for 10 or 15 years has gone. So Instagram tends to be the one that we're on a lot, and we've all been on there for a while. Facebook is probably up there with ones that we've all been on for a really long time. TikTok, you might have either dabbled in it over the last few years, or it is completely daunting and you have not even started your profile yet. So that is okay. I urge you to try TikTok, because the way that the algorithm works, it is a little bit easier for those videos to get pushed out to people that don't know you. So Instagram really does feed off of who you interact with on a daily basis, and TikTok is really, really good at sending videos out to new people. So don't be too scared to try it. How do I click the next one? There we go. Okay, so plan for today, we're going to break it into 3 different sections. First one, we're just going to talk about brand, because I can't tell you what types of videos are going to work for your social media unless we first define what you should be posting on your social media. So we're going to talk about what your brand looks like, how to form it, what are the important parts that you need to keep in mind, because at the end of the day, social media is a compilation of things you are doing in your daily life. If you are doing real estate from sun up to sundown and in your sleep and in the car and at your desk everywhere, absolutely your brand is real estate. But if there's more to you as a person as to how you're spending your day, then we want to explore that a little bit and see how we can incorporate that into what you're posting. So part 2 to this is specifically going to be how to highlight your personality in your brand and in your videos. And then the third part of this is how to actually organize what you are posting. Maybe we're working with some of those house videos that you did from the training with me a month or two ago. Maybe we're talking about the B-roll that you might have taken with Brian at the mini shoots that we did last month, or this is video that you might be taking on a week-to-week basis that you already have in your phone and you don't know necessarily how to use it. So we're going to start there. Also, I have a section for questions at the very end. If you have a question, I'm gonna have the chat pull up somewhere, maybe, or I might rely on Kate a little bit to let us know that we have a question. Ask it, because if you're wondering, someone else is probably wondering, so do not be afraid to stop me and ask questions. Okay, this is the first thing that I always do. It is so funny to me how many people are not following Choice on social media, so don't forget. The left-hand side is Choice's Instagram, so do not forget to follow it. If you have no idea who I am or you've never seen me before, my Instagram is on the right-hand side. I'm gonna give everyone 10 or 15 seconds if you want to scan one of them, but it's always funny to me how we know that they're there, but we're not always following Choice, so I always like to plug Choice a little bit. Oh, there's the chat. Maybe I can have it pulled up. There we go. Thank you, Kate, for putting that up there. Okay, so those links are in the chat if you want them. Okay, so first of all, why are we even talking about videos? Because I'm sure we all know how to post pictures on Facebook and Instagram. I'm sure we all know how to do stories at this point. Those have been around for a little while. Video tends to reach a different audience of people. And that can be really, really useful either when you are trying to engage people that have already been following you for a long time, or if you're trying to reach brand new people and you're trying to expand your client base. I have found videos typically engage better than photos do. I might get more comments or more, that video might get sent to more people because that person wants to share it with their followers or their friends. So there's tends to be 3 different ways I have found that you can consistently use videos if you think of it in these little brackets. So the first one is to be informative and educational, and I think this is the one that we see from real estate agents most frequently. So we either see them sharing their listings or sharing when stuff is closed. We see them sharing house tours, but this can also be a really good way really to share market data. Choice has agents all over the triangle, but that does not mean we all specialize just in one place. So this could be a really good way for you to get really granular or really specific with areas that you know really well and that you work in really frequently. The second way that you can use videos is to really be thought-provoking, and this tends to be the scary one, the more nerve-wracking one of how we can use videos. But think of this as posing a question that your social media audience may not have ever thought about. So a lot of times we're talking about myths surrounding buying or selling a home. We're talking about newscasts that people have seen recently and they're freaking out over headlines or over general real estate statements that they don't know how that specifically applies to them. Or we're just talking about, did you know something that you maybe haven't heard of before or didn't know? This is a really effective way to use videos or clips of something that's not really too specific. So think of a panning video of any neighborhood. You can put any question over that video, any headline, any line that you want to put over that, and you're not specifically drawing attention to look at 101 Main Street, but you might be using that video as what we're going to call B-roll or background video. That way, the text that you're posting on top of your video is really the subject matter that we're talking about, not the particular house behind it. The third way that you can use your videos is to showcase you and your hobbies, your passions. My puppy is losing her mind, so apologies. But this is really to highlight you and who you are and what you want to connect with your clients. So we're gonna continue on this topic specifically about you, but think of this as, what is your client going to associate with you when they think of you or when they see you pop up on their profile? That's a really good way to think of what your brand is all encompassing. Okay, so let's jump right into it. This is a fun part because sometimes I think that we forget that we're more than realtors. So all we do, we're really, really, really good at posting just sold, just closed, buyer under contract, home inspection. We have got that nailed down choice as a firm. We all know how to do that. But that one aspect of posting 10 in a row on your Instagram of just solds or just closed or open houses, that does not separate you from the realtor on the search below you that's posting the exact same thing. So when we're talking about your brand, we're talking about either what is going to attract clients to you that makes you different from that next realtor on that search, or what makes you relatable to the type of client that you're trying to get. So when we're talking about building your brand, there's some things about your brand that we need to keep in mind. A lot of times we think of brands as products or lines like a clothing line or like a store line. We think of that as a brand. And when we apply one of those brands, we could just say Target, for example. If we apply these concepts to Target, it's easy to identify what each of these things is. So purpose for Target is to make easily accessible products and items close to home for families. They are consistent with marketing a diverse type of model in their ads, their colors are consistent, their fonts are consistent. But for real estate agents specifically, we're talking about you are the brand, not the houses that you're selling, not the neighborhoods that you're hosting open houses in. You are the person at the end of the day that your client is going to and saying, hey, I like you. I would really like to think I would like to see if we would be a good fit for each other. When we're talking about that, this one item of who is the audience that you're targeting sticks out to us as the most important way we need to define our brand first, because if we don't know who we're speaking to, it's hard to define what it is we should be sharing. This is not an easy exercise, but I have only started to understand who my target audience is after 4 or 5 years of selling, because I've worked with a wide range of people. And now I know either who is seeking me out the most often, or what transactions have I enjoyed the most, or has my skill set come out in the strongest way. And that has helped me define my target audience. And in turn, that helps me decide what videos am I posting. So when we're talking about your ideal client, your defined audience, there's some ways that we can figure this out. I already mentioned that the easiest place to start is who are you already working with, because they found you in some way. So they either found you through clients that you've had in the past, maybe you work leads on a certain site, and so you're really, really good at working with first-time home buyers or people that are relocating. That is a good place to start to define who your ideal client is. Another question you can ask is, do you like who you're currently working with, or do you want to pivot that target audience into a new way? Because that's okay too. I know that a lot of times people that work open houses, that can define your target audience a little bit, and I do open houses all the time. You're likely looking at first-time home buyers or people that are relocating and they're looking at a new location and they're investigating, but we don't always get to pick and choose who walks into that open house, and so it doesn't end up being a very defined group of people. I want you to get really, really granular with who this is, because you're going to see on a future slide, I don't want our target audience to be, oh, whoever shows up on my profile, as many people as I can reach. That's not defined enough, because that means that your content is not going to be defined enough to be relatable. It's going to be very broad and very generic. And you'll see on my brand page that I'm going to give you an example of how granular I've gotten. A really easy place to start is an age group of that clientele. So sorry with my puppy. An age group. Whether or not they already live here or if they're relocating, because that serves two different types of needs. And also what stage of life are they in? So a first-time home buyer needs different attention and is looking at different things on Instagram than maybe an empty nester or a downsizer is. They're searching different things, they're saving different types of videos, and that can really help you identify who you want to be working with or who to tailor your brand to. On the bottom, this is a good question for us to ask, is whether or not your ideal clients are just like you, meaning you're in the same age category, you're in the same stage of life, or whether they're in a very different position than you. That's also going to help you really get granular with who that person is and what they're searching for. Now we need to think about you guys as individuals. So when we're thinking, we've looked at the client and what they might be searching for, what type of content they might be consuming. Now, when we're talking about you and trying to post to attract that, we need to build out your brand just a little bit. So the branding aspect of this tends to get very daunting, very overwhelming. So I want to try to make it as easy as possible. The easiest way I have found to do that is, what are you already doing in your life that you enjoy? And what parts of your life I like to call are non-negotiable, meaning they're going to be in your life regardless of whether you're a realtor or not. And that means that they're already present there for you to be sharing with other people. So things you do on a regular basis can be, what types of places do you go every single week? What hobbies do you enjoy that you do frequently? Are you a traveler? Are you a homebody? Those non-negotiable things, I think we really get overlooked as being part of our brand, but this could be, are you a parent? Do you have pets? Do you have side jobs or side hustles outside of being a realtor that are a everyday part of your life that you're already doing? And then the last thing is, what makes you relatable? These are the small little details that people don't think play a big part in their brand, but it's funny that these tend to be the things that our clients associate most with us. A really good person that's an example for this is Taylor Oldham. If you've ever taken any of her trainings about her brand, immediately we all think of Blue and La Marca Prosecco. She's hammered that home to her clients. They get La Marca bottle when they close. It's in all of her branding photos. That is a relatable item that people associate with her. For me, I don't really know how it happened, but it ended up being poppy soda. And if you come to any of my trainings, I have a big thing of poppy that you can pull from so that you can try it if you've never had it before. But these tiny little things can be as simple as what your favorite color is or what team you root for at a basketball game. But your clients will connect with that because maybe they root for the same team, or maybe they vacation at the same spot every year at the coast that you go to. Stuff like that builds out your brand and becomes those small things that your clients really think of, or that you stay really relevant or top of mind for them when they think of you. This was a fun one because this is an example page, but these are questions that you may not have ever thought play a part in your brand. And I could probably make 10 slides of these, but I didn't want to get too overwhelming. So if this is a slide that you want to come back to, or if you want to go to the recording and take a screenshot of, it'll be funny if you answer these questions and you realize that there are things that align with the clients either you've already worked with or with the clients that you want to work with. So sometimes building out your brand can feel kind of silly, like a get to know me questionnaire, but those are the things that your clients are going to look back on and remember. Oh my gosh, we love the same type of pizza toppings, and when we closed, they gave us a pizza gift card. Or, oh my gosh, we both love always wearing jeans and sneakers, and every time we saw our realtor at our showing, at our home inspection, at our closing, she was wearing the same pair of sneakers, and I love it. All of these things end up building your brand into something bigger than just, I'm a realtor, or I'm a realtor that lives in Raleigh. This all creates relatability, which is ultimately our goal at the end of the day. So a good exercise from all the things that we've already talked about is picking 2 to 4 that you feel like are a repeatable, easy to identify thing on a frequent basis. So choosing overarching topics to build out your brand is easier than trying to gather 10 really, really small ones. So if your brand ends up being, and I'm going to use this very specifically, a UNC fan, not a Duke fan, but if you're a UNC fan, you are a dog mom, you love making fresh lemonade every evening and sitting out on your porch, and you love going to a yoga studio in Apex. That is 4 great things about your brand that really can help push your content in a certain direction to connect with those types of clients. And those are things that you probably are already doing on a weekly, monthly, daily basis which means stories can come from that every time you're watching TV and UNC is playing. You can do a video every month with your favorite lemonade recipe. You can share a video every week about you going to your yoga studio and what were your favorite poses in that class. And I already forgot the other one, but you kind of get the gist of how I start to organize things about me that make me relatable into my content that people are going to see semi-regularly. We've already kind of been talking about it, but let's get a little more granular with how your personality turns into a brand that's recognizable across your client base. So for me, this is how I have defined my brand. Some of these things are big overarching themes, like where I grew up or my occupations. Some of these things are tiny little details that you will just see sprinkled into my content every now and then because I happen to be doing that. So every time I'm drinking a poppy, I will take a story of it, and that story is gone in 24 hours. But if someone sees 5 of those stories in a month, that item starts to become repeatable in their mind for what they associate with me. Some of these things people don't know about me, but when they see them, they're interesting, and maybe we relate on it by having a conversation at a consult or at an open house. And this also gives me talking points when I'm meeting with these clients in person. So I've had so many clients that saw a video of me on my Instagram that they didn't know. For example, like I ride horses. And then when we're at their home inspection, oh, my mom rides horses and my friend boards at this barn and I went to this horse show. Have you ever been there? Those are amazing talking points that start to really build this long-term relationship. And maybe that's something that makes your clients think of you later down the road when they're referring you to that friend that has that horse down at that barn. So I'd like to pick a handful, specifically some of these, that you're going to see in my content repeatedly over and over and over again on a consistent basis. And the other ones become almost like accessories, little things that you'll see on stories or you'll see once in a blue moon that really build out my brand to be something unique. Again, if you guys have questions, don't feel nervous to pop them in the chat. This was the page that I was excited to show you guys because I've taken everything you saw on the last page and I have boiled it down to what I want my brand to be. So something that we don't think of as being a brand maybe is the colors that we want to use. You'll see these colors not only in this presentation, but on all of my social media. These are things that pop up repeatedly. I have chosen my fonts to kind of fit with the vibe that I want to give. Professional, but not too buttoned up, not too fun, but something a little interesting. And the part that I want you guys to read over is actually that left-hand side that says my ideal client. So this has only grown in the most recent years. And I really do need to thank Adam O'Brien for encouraging me to get this granular, because when I heard what his ideal client was, he knew it down to what drink they'd be ordering at a bar in Raleigh. And that's the type of person that he wants to work with. So when I look back on my favorite transactions, the people that are finding me on social media, it is this person. It is this type of person. And of course, I work with others all the time, but the most frequent ones that are connecting with what I post are these types of people, even down to the one that says prioritizes their kitchen over DoorDash. That means that when they're looking for a home, they're going to be prioritizing, oh, does the kitchen have all the features that I want in it? Is it at a good location in the home so that I can have people over for dinner? That means that we're typically looking for single family homes over townhomes. It really starts to kind of evaporate into all the other points of their home buying journey with me. And it all starts from this concept of they prefer to eat at home rather than to DoorDash. That's how granular I've gotten. And that means that when I post a story of me cooking pasta in my own kitchen, they're going to like that story, or they're going to share that story, or they're going to ask me for the recipe. If you take nothing away from today's branding portion of what we're talking about, I would just encourage you to work on who your ideal client is, because if you struggle with creating you as a brand, if you start with who your ideal client is, you can post for them instead of posting for you, because it might feel daunting to come up with what to share or how do I edit this video perfectly. just think about them and think about what they are consuming. Are they going out people, and so are they going to want to see restaurant reviews? Or are they homebodies and they're going to want to see DIY projects for how to make their back patio the best that it could be this summer? Those are the types of questions that I'm asking myself to keep my content really engaging. And that always feels like, to my ideal client, my content is relevant. Because every time they see it, it's connecting with an aspect of what they're doing in their day-to-day lives. Okay, let's talk about videos, because this is the fun part. And I'm hoping that if you have questions, I'm hoping that we can discuss them at the end, because I don't think everything has a one-size-fits-all answer. So if you have questions about how to take what you're doing already and how to turn it into a brand, almost like little case studies, that would be great for us to discuss at the end. Okay, so something when I'm meeting one-on-one with people about their content, a really easy place to decide, okay, what videos am I posting? I got my brand, I got my client, cool. Now what do I film? A really good question to ask yourself is, do you want to be the subject of all of the videos that you post? Or do you want the videos to look like they are through your eyes and through your perspective? If we're talking about you being in front of the camera, that tends to be because you want people to connect with you one-on-one, your personality, the way that you say things, your energy. There are some people on social media, realtors specifically, that do things because they have a really comedic, funny personality, or because they like walking and doing house tours. They like being in front of the camera and describing the room, or they like sitting down interview style, like they're talking to you one-on-one and they're answering your questions. That is very, very effective if you want your personality to shine through your videos. If that is nerve-wracking, then we're going to go with option 2, which is your videos are showing what you are seeing, almost like someone is watching through your point of view. Most of my social media content tends to be like that, where I'm filming my house tour in front of me and I'm not leading or guiding the house tour, because for me, that feels more authentic and more effective. A lot of my videos, you'll see me, if I'm riding a horse, you'll see me up on the horse and I'm filming down, like you're watching me do it, or like you're in that. So I think that each one can be very, very effective. It depends on your personality style, and maybe your content morphs over time as you get more comfortable with the camera. This is where some of like our video mini shoots, like we just did with Brian last month, can be really effective, because if you're nervous about being on camera talking, then maybe B-roll is a better option for you. Like we talked about before, background video. A lot of times this is you not interacting with the camera, but you're in the video. And that makes for really good clips to put text on, or to have really detailed captions. So that can be a really good middle ground for you to get really used to being behind the camera. If you took my training that was at one of Heather Donovan's listings in person, where we talked about different types of content, this is the sheet that I sent home with everybody on these different ways you can film content. Everything on here is exactly the same, except I just added stories, because this is another type of content that we overlook, because sometimes it's not top of mind to be like, oh, I just got a coffee from this coffee shop, let me take a picture of it. Or, oh, I'm driving to an open house, let me film a story of where I'm going. Those aren't always top of mind, but stories can be a very effective video type. The other ones are just different ways that you can record and maybe keep clips on your phone. And a lot of these I will try to accomplish all together at a house. So for example, when I host an open house, I try to get there 15 minutes early, set up everything, and then I'm running through my content checklist, because I know nobody's coming for the next 15 minutes. It's just me in this house. So I will go ahead and I'll film number 1, that full house tour. One take walking through the home. That is a type of content that I repeat on all of my platforms really frequently. Then I'll say, okay, checked that off my list. Now let me take clips of the decor. So I'll take 3 to 5 second clips of the items that are on the coffee table, a really pretty light fixture. I want to just get a couple of clips of really pretty interior design items that aren't necessarily highlighting the home. Then I will go down and I'll say, okay, now I need a still shot, which is me setting the phone down, recording a room or something, and maybe I'm walking into the room and I'm setting something down on a table and I'm walking out. That's just me clicking record. I do it and then I click stop record, and that's a video. Another one that I do a lot is a highlight tour. So instead of one full walkthrough of the home without stopping, maybe I'll take 3 to 5 second clips of each room, just me panning from one side to the other. And then when I'm editing a video, now I have a full house tour video and I have maybe a 20-second video of clips of each room. That is how my brain thinks about taking content, is what is the most amount of videos that I can take of one single thing. That way I can reuse them later in the future. But what I would recommend you guys do is think of a couple of these types of content that feel really, really easy for you to edit. So instead of saying every single house I go to, I'm going to take 6 different types of content, I want you to pick 2 or 3. So for me, those tend to be obviously a house tour, like I said, that highlight tour, because I can just go back to each room and I can take a quick little video. And sometimes I'll take another one if I want to, and then I'm taking stories. Those for me are quick to film. Those are easy to edit. They're easy to put together. I don't need to do a lot of cutting or clipping or lining up with music. And so for me, that feels easy to do when I'm thinking of taking content. And it doesn't take me too long to do in the home. I'm not spending an hour or 2 hours recording. I see a couple of questions, so let me get to them really quickly. Are you narrating the home tour? Me personally, I am not. So I want the video to speak for itself. I just want people to feel like they're walking through the home. So I do not put audio behind all of my house tours. Maybe once in a blue moon, I will narrate the video with captions. And usually that's because the house tour is pretty quick, but there's features that I want them to know about. So one that I did last year was for a brand new construction, completely customized barn house. It was really interesting, but the house isn't actually that big, and so the tour was over pretty quickly. But instead of talking about the house that they could obviously see, I instead talked about where it was located, how big the property was, and what was on the property that you could do with it as I'm going throughout the house. So that's how I prefer to narrate if I do, but most of the time I'm not. And then another question, do you use a stabilizer or do I hold steady with my hand? I personally hold it steady. The reason being, if you have an iPhone, iPhones have a setting that is automatically stabilizing your video. So I can't speak for Android, never had an Android and I probably never will, but iPhones will do it a little bit for you. I also don't tend to use one of the gimbals where it stabilizes and then if you move, it kind of moves slowly. I tend to not use those either, because when I'm filming my house tours, I don't want there to be a delay in how it's moving from room to room to room. I would prefer that it looks like you're there and that I can speed it up and control the speed later in editing, and I just feel a little bit of a delay with those stabilizers. And then another question, for the place and play, how do you place the phone and then film yourself? So that's a good question. I cannot tell you in how many open houses where I've done a place and play. I named that type of video. I don't think that that's the official name for it, but a place and play is where I set my phone down and I click record and I go and I do something in the view of the video. This can be as simple as I'm walking through the door and I'm walking past the camera, or I'm going into a room and I'm setting something down and I'm coming back out. I cannot tell you how many times I have put my phone into a glass or plastic cup and hit the record button and angled it exactly how I wanted it, and then went and did my thing and then turned the video off. That's usually how I'm filming those, because I'm usually by myself. So I'm just finding something to prop it on, whether that's a countertop or a table, or sometimes I have literally put it in tree branches of like house plants. Just wherever I can put it that it's going to stay stable and it's not going to fall over. You might have seen I used to have one of those grippy things on the back where I could put the phone on a window. That way I could control exactly how tall or how high it could go. Those work really well too. Okay, so now that we've decided, this is a case study on me, we've decided what types of content feel really easy for me to film. either a full 1-minute video that's one take or a compilation of little clips. Now I need to define what parts of my brand that we talked about are going to show up frequently in my content. So these are those 5 things on that brand picture where I had all the photos on it. These are the 5 things that I feel are going to most frequently come up. And real estate is not the only one. So I want to make sure that I'm sharing things about my life that people could find relatable or memorable later down the road. And those are going to be what we're going to call our content branches. This is the fun part, because you really get to define this and decide what this is. And this does not have to stay the same over time. If you want to change a branch because you've added something about you, or now you have a new hobby that you want to share, or maybe you moved and so you're in the midst of packing up a house and you're about to do a ton of design and DIY projects. These branches over time can fluctuate, but you want to have at least a couple that are going to remain really consistent. So with each of those 5 branches, I kind of need to think about what type of content is going to make the most sense with that branch. So obviously for real estate, those are my house tours. That is the most repeatable type of content that you'll see on my TikTok and on my Instagram all the time. But maybe with real estate, that also means I'm posting some stories. So if I'm going to a home inspection, or if I'm going to a closing or showings, those are easy times for me to get stories. Maybe with the interior design stuff, because I like to show both full homes, but then also how to design or decorate them. Maybe that makes more sense to have one of those highlight tours. So 3 to 5 clips of something. When I'm going into a home, I don't necessarily want to do a tour, but I want to share, what does the dining room, living room, and kitchen look like? And so that would make a lot of sense to do one of those highlights. Maybe for any time that I'm going out to a restaurant with friends, as one of those friends family activities ones, maybe that's a really good time again for a story of just what I ate for dinner at that restaurant. Or maybe that's another good time for a highlight tour of, let me show walking in, getting the dinner, walking around downtown Raleigh, and going home. So it's nice to kind of pair those types of content that feel easy for you to record and easy for you to edit with the types of branches of your brand that feel really easy because they're already there and present in your everyday life. This is the fun part. Now we're going to put those together, and this is what your content can look like for you. This can either be, because I know weekly sounds really, really scary. This could be weekly. This could be monthly. This could be every 6 weeks. This can be however it is most digestible for you and how you can plan it. But I do not have a system of, on Mondays I post real estate, on Tuesdays I post horses, on Thursdays I post interior design. That feels rigid for me, and maybe I didn't do any showings on that Monday, and so I don't have any real estate content to post that day. For me, it makes more sense to say, okay, for real estate, maybe every week I want to post a couple of house tours. That could be a tour that I recorded that day. That could be a tour that I recorded a week or 2 ago. And then maybe I want to post a story of me dancing, and I want to post a story of me riding a horse every week. Whatever day that I do that on, I just make sure I get that and it's shared. So this type of tree metaphor is how my brain thinks of my content. I don't expect everyone's to work the same, but this can be a really digestible way to think about what are the branches of my brand that I want to share, and then what type of content fits the best with those types of branches. Okay, so let's talk about SEO. This is something that I have talked about in other trainings. This is how people are finding you. This is how your video is searchable to people that don't follow you, or when you're sharing on different platforms, this is how that platform helps to push your video out to new people. So there's a few things that you can do consistently across whatever type of content it is to make sure that your videos are still remaining searchable for that platform that you're working towards. So one of those can be using keywords and using hashtags. So if you've taken any of my other trainings, my biggest recommendation is that what you're writing on the screen, what you're writing in your caption, and what you're writing in your hashtags all match or agree with each other or mesh together. So an example that I've given is if I'm filming a house tour. If I put on the screen, look at this $1 million home, and then in the caption I say, new house for sale in Raleigh, and then in the hashtags, I hashtag kitchen, hashtag realtor. There's nothing consistent in all three of those things for Instagram to say, oh, she's posting about a $1 million house in Raleigh that has a pretty kitchen. It's not smart enough to do that. It needs something consistent in all the areas that text can go to be able to categorize your video into something general. So instead, what I would do is on the screen of a house tour, I would say, tour this $1 million home in Raleigh. In the caption, I would say, look at this beautiful $1 million Raleigh home for sale. And then my first hashtag would be Raleigh, and my second hashtag would be luxury home. My third hashtag would be for sale. All we're trying to do is create consistency. That can be one word that's consistent across all of those things. But by having all three things be so wildly different, Instagram doesn't know what to do with your video. Another one of these things is your captions. So captions can help Instagram categorize your video by reading what it is you're talking about. So if you are to narrate any of your videos or talk in any of your videos, make sure that the caption that's in the bottom is also talking about what you're talking in the video about. So these seem silly just at surface level, but it is hard for platforms like Instagram and TikTok to know who to send your video to if it doesn't know what your video or your post is about. So always just keep that in the back of your mind is, do things match? Are things consistent? Am I talking or hashtagging about things in a similar way to make sure that Instagram can push that out? Trending audios is another really good way to kind of help Instagram or TikTok make you feel like, or make them, the platform, feel like you're using their features that they're giving you. So if an audio is trending, especially if it's just a song or if it's just background music that isn't talking about anything in particular, that's a really good thing to put behind a house tour or behind a video of you going and trying a new restaurant or behind a video of you going with your kid to a soccer game. Those trending audios really can help push your videos to new people, because if people are watching other videos with that audio, maybe they're not watching real estate content, but if they just saw a funny cat video that had a trending song on it, your video might be the next one to come up because you're using that same audio. So that's another good thing to keep in mind. Okay. I have 2 pages of bonus tips for you guys that are a little more specific than some of the stuff that we've talked about. This entire page, again, screenshot it when you get the recording, something like that, is text that you can put on top of any clip. You could be driving down the road and you could put, here's a home buying secret. Then just throw an audio on it, and that is a piece of content. And the information of whatever that secret is, and it doesn't have to be a secret, but whatever that secret is, goes in your caption. Another thing that you can do is a B-roll video of you interacting. Maybe you're pretending to stage a kitchen, or you're just interacting in a living room and you're sitting on the couch. Do you know what due diligence is on the screen? And in the caption, you can explain what due diligence is. These types of content with on-screen text that is a relatively generic statement or question, you can repeat as often as you want to with a different video in the background. So these are things, a lot of these things that I picked are either questions or things that I talk to with new clients every time I have a new buyer. And if that's the case, if every single buyer is asking me, what is due diligence? What does that deposit do? That means that I should be posting about that topic more on my social media, because other people probably have the same question. So I don't ever want you guys to feel scared of posting something that says the same thing or posting something with similar information, because we're already answering those types of questions for clients on a relatively regular basis. So the general public probably has those questions too. If you don't know what the POV means, that one that says POV,
Point of view. I know that.
Point of view, it's point of view. So that is saying, and the videos that I have had gone pretty viral on Instagram and TikTok have actually been point of view videos where there's one where I showed two houses right next to each other. And I said, point of view, you and your best friend move in next door to each other. That was as simple as it got. And all it was, point of view is just creating an image in your client's head to imagine something. So you could do with that point of view, you're my client and we just closed on your new home. That could be a background video of you popping champagne. That could be a background video of you opening the door to a new house. Any of these types of words on the screen can go with so many different types of videos, and that's why it's really easy to repeat. So don't sleep on some of these really simple one-liners that you can put on your videos. My next bonus tip, because I do get questions, is what is the best ways to use your reviews or your testimonials in social media posts? Because I think a lot of times we have to post, or we think that we need to post the house that closed and their review. I want you to get a little more creative with this and how you share it. So option number one is maybe it's a clip of you for 5 or 10 seconds. Maybe it's one of the B-roll ones that Brian shot last month of you laughing and smiling and cheersing a cup to the camera. Or maybe it's a video of you walking up the front porch and opening a door. And on the screen, you can say, what are my clients saying? And then their review can go in the caption. That's a really good way to use that review, and you can post that type of video as frequently as you want. Another option that will maybe get better views or interactions with your video is grabbing a clip of whatever you want, you, a house, you walking down a sidewalk, you panning across some trees, you getting a cup of coffee, doesn't matter what it is, but put the review on the screen for the viewer to read. And the reason this might get better interactions is because maybe that video is only 5 or 10 seconds long, but maybe it takes them more than that amount of time to read the whole review. With the video playing in the background over and over again, but the on-screen text is staying there, you're actually going to collect more views on that video because they spent a longer amount of time there. So I like reviews for that purpose because sometimes they're longer than just a sentence or two. And so by putting that text on the screen with a trending audio in the background, you're collecting more views on something that is really speaking and highlighting you and your abilities and sharing a really positive thing about your business or about you as a realtor. So I like both of those options, but if you struggle with how to use reviews, maybe try one of these things. Last but not least is when you're using multiple platforms, the same way that we want to make sure that the messaging on a video is consistent, that way Instagram or TikTok knows how to push it out to people. We also want to make sure that your branding is relatively consistent on multiple platforms. Easiest way to do this, but you'll be surprised at how often I see that this is not done, is having different profile pictures on different platforms. So if your face or your logo or your brand colors is something that you want people to associate with you, make sure that across multiple platforms, your profile picture is the same, because when they're searching, they might remember you based on your profile rather than your name. So make sure that that item is consistent. Another thing is in each of those little bio blurbs underneath your name on each platform, having similar wording or similar overall content things that you're going to be posting about in that bio. So you'll see that little line on both my TikTok and my Instagram profile that says bachata, horses, homes, and poppy. That is a very short little snippet into my life, but you know what to expect from the type of content that you're going to get from me on both platforms. And it's consistent. So you know that if you follow me on TikTok and later you go to find me on Instagram, you know that I'm going to be sharing similar things back and forth. So using that bio to your advantage to share just a little bit about what your clients or your followers can expect from what you're posting can be really, really effective. And it could also be a really good reminder to you over time of, oh, what should I be posting more of? Maybe I've posted 5 dancing videos of me, and when was the last time I ever posted about me riding my horse? I need to do another video of that. That way I stay top of mind with that subject. So use it for as twofold with what your clients can expect, but also as a little reminder to you. And then do not forget, especially on Instagram, to tag choice in your bio, because then that helps Choice's social media out by all of us making sure that we're connecting back to their page. Okay. I'm sure maybe we have questions, maybe we don't. Maybe you're just gonna go back and you're gonna screenshot every little thing that's gonna be helpful for you. But does anyone have any questions, whether that's a question on a term that I used, or whether or not you want to do a little mini case study and say, how do we work with this type of branding or this type of video content? Let's talk about it. The floor is your guys's.
I have a question about, I don't do TikTok, but I do Instagram and Facebook. And there's always that option of, do you want to share it? Is that bad to have the identical content on both Instagram and Facebook?
I don't think so, because the parent company owns both Instagram and Facebook. And so it can actually take data from who's watching your videos on one platform and help push that content to people on the other platform. So I like cross posting on Facebook and Instagram. Number one, because I don't use Facebook as often. And so by making sure I share it, it's just keeping my page kind of active and making sure that I have something that's going there. But over time, I have noticed that Facebook and Instagram's algorithms have kind of helped each other. So I'll have a video get similar views on both platforms, even if someone's not following me. So I would recommend always sharing it to both.
Okay, thanks.
So
Another question. I have, I belong to a brokerage in Charlotte also, because I live in Charlotte now. And this broker in charge doesn't allow us to post on social media other people's listings.
okay.
She thinks it's against, you know, the rules.
My experience with the rules, because when I came to Choice, I wanted to make sure that I was above board on everything. The only governing body that has rules, as far as I can find, specifically about sharing listings on social media, I believe is NAR. And if I remember correctly, I think the North Carolina Real Estate Commission has like a little tiny line in like the code of ethics, but all that both of those things say is you require written permission from the listing agent to be able to share. What I have found is the easiest is for me to send a text to the listing agent when I'm booking the showing. A lot of times this is just me saying, hey, are you providing a Form 220 and are we good to go? But then I also ask, is it okay if I take a video and share it on social media? I have gotten a resounding 100% yes. So if you're ever nervous about sharing a listing on social media, just ask. The only time that I've ever gotten a no wasn't really a no, because they were just a bad listing agent and never even responded to the text in the first place. But everyone else that has responded has said yes, because it only helps them. So as long as you have something that you can refer back to in writing, whether that's a text or an email, then I don't know about your broker in Charlotte, but you should have permission as far as that goes to be able to share it.
Okay, thanks.
Question about that too. Do you do a disclaimer like in your video? You say in any place like listing by blah 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 blah, or that's not necessary? You say listing by Choice Residential. What are the steps in that area?
In all of my Instagram videos, if they have a profile, I will tag who the listing agent is and who the listing firm is if I can find them. And if not, then I will just write it in that caption, listed by so-and-so with such and such firm. I know there's a couple of brokerages in the area. I want to say Coldwell Banker is one of them that will scour Instagram to find people that have posted their listings and then message you and say, hey, can you tag us on the listing? So as a good practice, I will always do that.
Thanks.
I see in the chat, Carol said, do you post a list of your favorite type? Oh, I have something blocking it. Go away. Of your favorite type of client, or is this for your reference?
At the beginning, you had the list of your favorite type client. Is that something you actually post?
That is just for me to know.
Okay.
That is, consider it like an exercise to try to figure that out, and that might morph over time. But yeah, that is just for me to kind of keep in mind, who am I posting for, who am I trying to connect with, and
Okay.
like and it's kind of morphed over time, but in the beginning, I didn't really know who I was posting for. My goal was anyone and everyone. And I just kind of posted in the beginning content that I liked. And the first question that I thought of was, if I was moving here, what would I want to see? And so for
Okay.
me, that felt pretty natural to do house tours, and it kind of morphed over from there.
Okay, thank you.
Question,
Another question.
Ellie.
Do you introduce yourself like, hey, I'm Ellie with Choice Residential, or something like that, or not at all needed?
In my videos,
Yes.
I don't ever at all. And maybe that's something about my personality, that I don't want to be the agent that's in front of the camera all the time. I'll take pictures all day long, but being in front of the camera didn't feel natural at the beginning when I was starting it. I also, this is just how my brain works, but I don't want me introducing myself to take time away from any information that I need to give about the house. If they want to know who's posting it, my brain says they can go to my page and they can read my name and read who I'm with. And I also think that just for me, because I'm trying to connect with a younger type of clientele, that I don't want an introduction of who's posting the video to be off-putting for them, because to be quite honest, their attention span is so short that if the first 3 seconds of my video is, hi, my name's Ellie, I'm with Choice Residential, they've moved on because in their brain, they just wanted to know where the house was located and how expensive it was. So I kind of tailor my content to consider that really short attention span. And so I don't post an intro.
Thanks.
Ellie, I have a question circling back to what Carol was saying. Although your ideal client list information is for you specifically, what do you think about potentially doing a video of some sort, being like the top locations my clients have moved from to the triangle, and like listing it so you're calling them in and speaking to who you normally work with so you get more of them, but not being like, I like working with relocation clients.
Yeah, so I try to do this in little like inconspicuous ways, like you just said. So there is a series of videos on my Instagram, on my TikTok, where I did for a period of time a series of houses off of Zillow, just screenshots in certain price points. And in the caption was, if you're moving to Raleigh and you have a $500,000 price point, here's 5 houses for you to consider. I've also done videos of, in the last few months, I've helped clients move to X, Y, and Z town. Sometimes in my captions, I will always use the phrase, if you're moving to Raleigh, da 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 da. And then I'm sharing things that align with that list that I posted. So I'm sharing, if you're new to Raleigh, here's a restaurant you should try. If you're new to Raleigh and you want a walkable town, here are 3 to consider. I'm always trying to use that ideal client guide to guide what I'm posting, if that kind of aligns with what you're saying.
Perfect. And then I have 2 other kind of random thoughts and then a question.
Yeah.
I wanted to circle back to you talking about putting text over a short video. And I know you hinted at this, but like, just so it's been said in kind of a different way, is the algorithm is forever taking information on what videos are popular, and the percentage of a given video in terms of watch time matters. And so if the algorithm is reading, hey, these people are consistently spending 1.5 videos length of watch time, then they'll know like, oh, let's push it more. And so having a short video that loops could be more beneficial than a slightly longer video that's like the amount of time it takes them to read that text.
Absolutely. If you have never dove into that analytics button on your Instagram and on your TikTok, you could get lost in what all of those little data points mean. And TikTok specifically really does prioritize the average watch time of a user. So if your video is 10 seconds long, there's a graph on your TikTok analytics that says 90% of users spent 3 seconds on this video. And then 10% of users spent 5 seconds on this video. And what that tells you is that a lot of people are scrolling before that video is even finished. And if they're falling off at 2 or 3 seconds, it means that first 2 or 3 seconds was not initially captivating enough to keep them through the 5 to 10 seconds. So TikTok is one of those places where every single day on the platform feels a little bit different because something new is trending. and TikTok wants to push out any videos that are interacting with or are similar to what is trending that day. Instagram is a little more consistent and a little more long-term. So Instagram kind of wants to see you interacting consistently over a long period of time. TikTok, you could have never posted a video and the first one you post could go viral to 10 million people because it aligned with the things that were happening on TikTok that day. So each platform is kind of tailored to a different type of content creator and a different type of user and viewer. I think Instagram is much more designed for long-term relatability. So maybe someone following you and 6 to 8 months from now messaging you because they've loved what you've posted and what they've consumed. And TikTok, I've noticed someone could like one of my videos and message me immediately that day and say, hey, I'm moving to Raleigh. I didn't know that there was a realtor in Raleigh. So it's different types of people, and your content, I do think, should be tailored depending on who you're interacting with. But do not underestimate those short videos that just have text on them that just replay. And one of the ways to make sure that that video looks really seamless is make sure that that text is playing from the very start of the video to the very end of the video, and it's never going off the screen and coming back on the screen, because then someone will just let that video replay as they're reading it, and that text never disappears. So it never feels like the video ends for them. So those types of content can be really effective. And I've noticed that I get the highest number of views on content like that.
Yeah, and I loved how you talked about SEO because you hear all the time that social media is its own version of a search engine, and I definitely think TikTok is a little more so than Instagram in that way. But I like what you said about putting it in 3 places because there's certainly been situations. Did we lose Ellie? Where is she?
Here.
You bumped down on my screen all of a sudden.
Oh.
But like I think in the past I've always thought, oh, sprinkle in as much info as possible so that you hit all of those search tabs. But it was so nice to hear that it's actually like all 3, and then it'll get. And so I'm curious how accurate you think, more so talking about TikTok, right? But like when you start scrolling, it'll say content about or whatever. I guess that's a good way to kind of audit yourself if you're on the right track in terms of how you're posting and whether it's picking up what you're putting down. Is that?
Yeah. So if you're on TikTok, and maybe I'll pull it up and show you guys as long as my volume doesn't go crazy. So when you're on TikTok, on your own TikTok profile, when you are looking at a video, and I think because I'm looking at my own videos, it's not showing me, but when you're looking at a video, there's a bar at the very top, and it can say one of 2 things. It can either say, see similar content, or it can actually say a search term. So if I posted a video about a horse, it could say like equestrian or horse rider or horse eating food, something like that. It can categorize your video in some type of way. If there is a term on that video, it means TikTok was able to categorize it. And it's going to show you the most precisely similar videos to that video because it could find them. If it says see similar content, it couldn't categorize your video and it's going to guess. That is a really good indicator if you look at your videos on TikTok is, are my videos properly being categorized? Or am I not getting specific or granular enough or not consistent enough across those 3 places that it's having a hard time kind of categorizing that video? So some people don't know that. And if you have TikTok, I would encourage you to go look and see, do you have categories on there, or is it just recommending something similar with a generic term?
Right. And I have one more question, and I want us to get to a few questions people have in the chat and whatnot. But as you're doing all of this, my biggest question is, how are you organizing all of this on your phone? Twofold, like one, just because I know what videos I need to get, and I will get them while I'm out in the field, and then they get lost in perpetuity. Like maybe I'll make a video right afterwards and we're good, but circling back to it, near impossible, and then my storage is full, and then I'm deleting all of that great content. So I'm curious how you organize it.
So I'm really sad to admit that I pay for Apple iCloud storage. It is just a thing, and I will never have less than a few thousand photos and videos on my phone, and it is what it is. I am notoriously like a folder organizer. I've shown other realtors at Choice my email account on Gmail, and they're almost, I don't know if they're horrified by how many folders I have or if they're impressed by how many folders I have, but it is an overwhelming amount of folders, precisely organized down to what I need it to be, because that's the only way that my brain can do it. On my photos and videos on my phone, it's very, very similar. So I tend to folder videos based on either what day I took them or by what like photo shoot or video shoot it was. So I have folders on here of I took 50 professional videos at a barn house, and I have on there a folder of barn house videos. On the day that we went to the last Parade of Homes tour with Choice, I have a Parade of Homes October 2024 folder with 500 videos in it. And that's where I will go to find it. That is the best suggestion that I can give. The only videos that I tend to not categorize into a folder, honestly, are my house tour videos, and I probably should go back and find them. But I know that that house tour needs to be posted within a week or two of me filming it. Otherwise, the status is going to change, and I will not post house tours after it's closed. So as long as it is active or pending on Zillow or Realtor where the general public can find it, I will post it. But once it has closed, I don't feel like it's my place to post something, because maybe this will help you with some of your house tours. The price that I put on the house tour is the price on Zillow at the time that I post it. So I do not post the closed price. I post the advertised price, because if someone is house shopping, that's the price they're going to see. And I don't go back and I don't say, oh, remember this house that I posted at 500? Well, it actually closed for 450. That I don't consider that to be my place, because I wasn't the listing agent. I just post if you saw my video that day and you went and searched for that house, the price that it would say. So yeah, so I try to post those house tour videos as quickly as I can to make sure that whatever price that I'm putting on there is as accurate as it can be to when I'm posting it. I see a question that says, how many videos do you post a week on average? That very much depends on the platform we're talking about, and honestly, the amount of content that I've gathered most recently in the past few days. So TikTok is my main platform that I'm on most frequently. I post on there anywhere from 1 to 4 videos a day. That can feel like a lot. Half of those videos are less than 10 seconds. Half of those videos I maybe recorded 6 months to a year ago, and I'm repurposing them for some reason. And then maybe 1 to 2 of those videos were filmed within the last month. So I'm repurposing a lot of content frequently. A lot of reason behind that is because TikTok is so honestly pretty violently trendy. Something can be trendy one day and not trendy the next day. A lot of that has to do with me posting something that is trending that day, and that's where I can repurpose a lot of content. So if an audio is trending that day, I could go back and I could use clips from a house from weeks or months ago, and I could post the home decor just to that trending audio. Or if there's an audio that's really, really funny and I need to say something, I could just record something that day with me saying it. And then that content is done, and I'm never going to reuse that content again because it was trendy just for that one day. For Instagram, because it doesn't need me to be so active on a daily basis, I am posting stories every day. I try to get between 3 and 5, but some days it's 20 and some days it's 1, but I try to post stories every day. And then actual content, probably between 2 to 4 times a week. It's mostly reels and videos because that's my primary form of content. I'm not posting photo posts all the time. Those are much more infrequent for me, but I'm posting videos typically 2 to 4 times a week.
All right, one last question that we've got in the chat. What are you using to edit your videos? Is there an easy one to get started with?
I like this question. So when it comes to making sure that the platform is pushing your video out as effectively as it should, I edit in the platform. So I edit my TikTok videos on TikTok. I edit my Instagram videos on Instagram. The reason behind that is because both platforms, unfortunately, are smart enough that they know when you are importing a video from another application to post it onto Instagram or TikTok. And it does not push content out as much when it is edited on something like CapCut, which is a very common one that a lot of people use for things that are trending. One of those reasons is that usually that editor has the audio on that editor, and then you don't need to select the audio in Instagram. And then you're not actually using the trending audio file, you're using a copy of it because you edited it on the app. So I try to do everything in the app that I am posting. And yep, that means that I have a million drafts of content on each platform for when I'm going to post it. But it's because an audio might be trending on TikTok one day and it might never, ever trend on Instagram. So some of my content is not repeatable on each platform, just depending on what's happening. And then other things like my house tours are, because I can change the audio on both platforms, but I know that I'm going to post the same house. So I hope that's helpful, but I do find that it is easiest to actually edit it on the actual platform you're posting on.
I love hearing that. That's such a hot take. I feel like most people sleep on. All right, maybe
Just want your content to be best.
Yeah. Anyone have like one more question? I know I just said one more, but anyone want to wrap it up? I want to make sure we get to everything people are curious.
I'm totally gonna watch this a million times because it's so many good, like I'm trying to multitask and write things down. Just so many goodies. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Absolutely. I know we'll do more of these in the future, but for any of you that are curious about taking videos or recording videos, if you missed the last B-roll session of mini video shoots, we are going to do it again with my fiance and videographer, Brian, in August. So that August shoot, the time slots are really quick. They are 15 minutes to get you as many videos as you can. And when most of the videos we're talking about are 10 to 20 seconds, you can get a lot in 15 minutes. And that will be a really good session if you're planning content for the fall and for the winter. So if you want to film Halloween videos, fall sweater videos, if you want to film Christmas content and you want it to have a professional look to it, that shoot will be perfect for that. And maybe we'll continue doing these where every few months or so you get another opportunity to film. But if you've never taken professional content videos, that August slot will be the best time to do it.
Yeah, so start saving the videos that speak to you. Add a little folder on your Instagram or TikTok. That way you've got something to go back and reference. I know I put it in the chat earlier, but that session will be August 5th. Those slots fill up pretty quickly. We normally try to pick a really good model home. Ellie is normally on site to help guide you through where you should be walking or how you should be posing, or Brian is
Your
quite
content
talented.
fairy godmother.
Yes. And then we also will have another session with Ellie on July 24th on the same type of topic. It will be in person and it will be talking about how to maximize the videos that you get from one single location, kind of speaking to exactly what we did at the front end of this call. So tons of opportunities to tap in. In the meantime, thank you for doing this today. It means so much when you guys show up and ask questions. We always say it, but if you've got a question, everyone else does as well. So thank you for showing up, Ellie. Thank you for who you are and always pouring into us. You're so talented and it's always an honor to be in the room with you. Thanks, you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thanks.